I forgot my keys. Let me.
That whole trip took 17 years. That was the director's cut.
All right.
And of course, we have man, I got to check out none other than a Star Wars story, Solo, the Han Solo prequel movie.
Speaking of, you did mention the Hudsucker Proxy, but this was a guy who played Solo. I forget the name of the actor, but he was originally in his first movie was a Coen Brothers movie.
You mean the guy who played Han Solo, Harrison Ford?
The guy who played this Han Solo, the young Han Solo, was his first movie was what was the name of it? It was a Coen Brothers movie, came out a few years ago. I'm sorry, I'm bad at telling the story.
No problem. This guy's he's 25 years old. What was this like? What was he, 2?
No, this was like 3 years ago. One of their latest features. Oh, Hail Caesar. That's the movie. Yeah.
Oh,
he was in Hail Caesar. And I was like, man, that's a good actor.
Right?
I didn't really enjoy it. But it was good in a Coen Brothers way. Yeah, I didn't hate it. But anyway, I liked this actor, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, he's going to be the next Han Solo. I'm like, oh, I can see that.
All right.
Good for him.
His respect.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, sir, we're going to...
It's got Woody Harrelson in it, so that's all I need.
We're going to dash your anticipations to bits with the inside stuff about Solo. Man, I want to jump right into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
An awesome, action-packed, fun-filled show. But before we do, I want to remind you all, if you're just listening to us on WMF Radio, .com. You can also see us if you tune into twitch.tv/the Geek Down, catch the live stream, and we're also live streaming on YouTube. You go to YouTube, you search the Geek Down, we're usually the first one to pop up, and you can see our pretty smiling faces. Man, at the end of the show, we're going to give you all the information to follow us on SoundCloud, on Facebook, on Twitter, on iTunes, all over this mother. Fans FM if you're feeling funky. So stick around for that. But
stuff,
just so you know, you can also see us. What's going on, and find out what the hell Johnny's doing fiddling with those buttons.
Magic fingers.
Pornhub.
What? Both of y'all. Let's just jump right into Solo, man. Because damn, I missed a prime opportunity. Speaking of Solo, right there.
Next time. You up pretty good, right?
Next time, okay. But we're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. This is the prequel movie that gives the supposed backstory of Han Solo. Where did he come from? Where did he go?
Right.
Where did you come from, Han Solo?
How long you been working on that?
That was good. Believe it or not, that was a pure ad-lib that just came to me.
Good. All right.
Thank you. Oh man, the story is Han Solo is not the smooth, charismatic, likable scoundrel that we've come to know.
Right.
He starts off as kind of a bumbling dude who he's got the best intentions. He's coming from like a bad neighborhood,
a little rough around the edges. Yeah.
Like a rookie.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the prequel.
A rookie scoundrel.
A rookie scoundrel.
Yeah.
So cannon fodder, then, because you can't be like throwing yourself in the thick of things without those skills, man. You get taken out quick.
Well, he has the skills, but he's still a rookie, so he hasn't harnessed the skills to its full extent yet.
All right, well, this is him learning the skills as he goes along, because he doesn't start off smooth like we know. We like the dude in Star Wars, but when we see him here, he's actually very fledgling, which was interesting to see. It was a take that you knew they were going to go, but the way they actually executed it was interesting. I got to call that out. Now Johnny and I got to see this for ourselves. Adam, you still the...
I didn't get to see it this week, and I had a lot of stuff on my plate, but I will get out to see it this week. I know that this movie had a lot of trouble out of the gate. Obviously, it switched directors
I heard that.
almost most of the way through. I think at least halfway through they had to, still were filming. They filmed a bunch of this, and then they switched it to Ron Howard. Ron Howard took over, which seems kind of a interesting choice, even though Ron Howard has obviously had a proven track record of doing really big movies,
I like
really great
his work,
movies.
but I see what you're saying. I'm
it
not
just
sure.
Kind of seems like for him, it has everything to lose too. He has nothing to really gain from this. He doesn't need any more name recognition.
Well, I wouldn't say to lose. Ron Howard is.
But I'm saying he could only get crapped on by the Star Wars fans. You know what I mean?
That's true.
That. He doesn't stand to really gain much because he doesn't need anything else. He's already a name in Hollywood. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need any of it. So
no, very true.
Yeah, interesting choice. So I was really curious to see what he would do because like I said, I like all of his pictures, or most of them, anyways. But yeah, this suffered from a lot of bad press early. I think
that's going to happen with Star Wars movies. Unfortunately, it's just people are going to see a couple of early clips, and now when it used to be, they'd see early clips. Oh, that looks great. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna.
Yeah.
So now it's look at that. How fake does that look? Oh, they cast that guy. Oh man, no, that's not the way it was in the book. The book has been written out of canon for eons.
Yeah, well, this movie too, it didn't do extremely well in the box office this weekend.
It did. I think it suffered from a lot of the same stigma. A
lot of below expectations of what it was supposed to do, especially in China. I think like nobody in China saw this movie. It was like $10 million over there in that entire country.
Wow,
which is shocking. But
I
think it also I think what the Star Wars and Lucasfilm in particular is going to suffer from in the future is they're going to make 2 of these movies every year until we're dead. Now I think now that Disney owns them, you got to be realistic. You know what I mean? So I think like the whole this is special, this is something that's an event is kind of gone from the Star Wars universe. If that can be possible, you know what I mean? So I don't think people are showing up in that same numbers. We're like, wow, a new Star Wars movie. Wow, a new Star Wars. Now there's just so many of them and offshoots of movies. I think they're going to do a Boba Fett movie. You know what I mean? Which is like after this movie doesn't do as well, I don't think they're going to go through with that.
No,
I think
they will, but the Boba Fett movie will probably be like something dumb like a musical.
But you know what I mean? It's just like there's so many of these movies. Yeah, there's so many of these movies now, and it's just like whatever, kind of comes up, they're just like greenlighting it and expecting it to be this big event. I just don't think they're big events anymore now that there's so many of them. I don't think it's enough reason for people to get out there.
It's always going to be a big event in its own
I think maybe in the original ones, but all these small like side projects like the Solo movie, the Boba Fett movie, I don't think for a lot of those that core audience really, or maybe the core audience, as the fringe people aren't really going to go see.
Yeah, well, you know what I think? I think it was Rogue One that ruined that for everybody.
Yeah,
because Rogue One made a lot of changes and showed a lot of. It was a very different type of Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it was a Star Wars story, not like original canon, type of.
So folks walked in expecting, Luke and Jedi's and stuff, and the Force and backwards talking characters and such. And what they got is like some actual, rebels killing folks. Doing the grimy, gritty.
Yeah, missions. They have the blind samurai, you know what I mean, dicing dudes up with a
which I thought was
kind of badass. Yeah.
I like, Donnie Yen, although it was Donnie Yen not really doing any kind of martial arts.
Donnie Yen's an underground favorite for a lot of people.
Gifted martial artist. That dude is insane.
Extremely good movies. Yeah. That not enough people have seen. But
So I think that's the one that messed it up for all of them. It's like now everyone's afraid to put them out, and I think they were banking a lot on the Solo movie doing really well,
and to kind of get that mojo back,
and the fact that it underperformed is, I think, really going to hurt them going forward. You're right.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think it's going to stop them, but I think it's.
There's always going to be one to make.
That's what I'm saying. I think people are realizing that like I said, they're going to make multiple movies of these every year. So like, what do you get excited over? It's like, okay, they're going to be good movies. They're properties I care about, but. In terms of like, oh man, I need to see this. It's been so many years. No, it's been like 6 months. You know what I mean? You remember you going to those first Star Wars movies? Like, wow, it's like I haven't seen this since I was a kid. It's a big deal. We
reviewed that animated series, the one that was on YouTube.
The Clone Wars one?
No, the all girls one.
Oh right.
There was Star Wars Rebels was one.
Right.
Dude, they come out with them so often now because there's always going to be a new series because there's always going to be fans interested in investing in this in some way, shape, and form. And if they find a way to do it cheaper than Solo, a Star Wars story, because I'm just going to say I like this movie, and you can definitely see the money was put into the budget.
Yeah,
there was a lot of special.
I liked what they did with the casting, just with the guy who plays Solo. I'm skipping on his name.
I brought that up here, but I couldn't remember
Donald Glover as well.
Like spelling, Alden. Ehrenreich.
Yes. Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
And Donald Glover's in this. Woody Harrelson's in this. I'm like, there's, 3 guys I appreciate right there. So they're doing all right with the casting.
Dude,
so let me know how they were.
Well, we brought up Ron Howard earlier. And there is a brief cameo from Clint Howard in this.
Is there really?
Yes, there is. I was jazzed. I'm like, you know who that is?
Because he has to stick him in every one of his movies.
Single one of them knew who Clint Howard was. And I'm like, the impotent rage, just like,
clearly they didn't see Apollo 13 and know that front guy.
No, clearly they didn't see any of the Austin Powers movies and get like 14 euphemisms for a penis.
Right.
Jonas Sutamo.
Yeah.
Takes over as Chewbacca now, and I feel bad that I butchered the name because
instead of Peter Mayhew, it was just his birthday. Peter Mayhew's birthday was
107 now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Peter Mayhew's
he's actually Wookiee's age.
Oh man, it could have been this dude or it could have been Yao Ming. You just need like a really big, lanky.
Man, that guy hit the jackpot. By the way, a little side note. No, Peter Mayhew is like, wow, you're just this really tall, weird-looking guy who makes an weird sound. You made a career doing that one thing. It's like you just found it.
Yeah,
it's like this perfect, timing.
It's bugged out. How much do you want to bet the original, casting was just they put a random small panel
in the back of the penny saver or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's probably
just shows up like, oh, I can do that sound. They're like, that's it. That's the sound.
They probably wanted Chewbacca to sound like some kind of gremlin. He made that noise. Like, no,
that's Chewbacca, right? Because there's no way they had that sound at a time.
Chewbacca
like, you gotta make this kind of.
I don't believe this is a good idea.
He was probably in a bathroom with like mouthwash, gargling it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
And he had his mic still on, and the sound engineer's like listening in, and he's like, George, you gotta listen.
It's like, what's that amazing sound? I believe that's Chewbacca.
George is smoking a joint with.
What's that? What's that? Water sprinkling? Yes, we have the rolling hill. But now you mentioned Donald Glover earlier as well. Donald Glover is perfect. As
young Lando, yeah, he is.
Yeah, I thought this dude was actually. Hold up, Johnny, you saw this too, and you've been awfully quiet over there.
Yeah.
Let's get some of your thoughts on the casting, man.
Casting was, I believe, fantastic across the board. There wasn't a single person that was misrepresented. I like the new Solo. I said this to the people that I watched it with as we were leaving the theater. I think this is a better Solo than Harrison Ford's Solo.
Get out of my face.
Oh, okay. Now that's a bit extreme right there.
Get out of the room.
I like the dude, but I wouldn't think he really captured the charisma that Harrison Ford, the young Harrison Ford, not that grumpy old.
I like all Harrison Ford.
No, that's right.
I like Harrison Ford telling David Blaine to get out of his house. That's how much I like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I think that's why, because the
young Harrison
the
Ford
original
brought
Harrison
charisma to the role.
He did, but he also had like a little bit of negativity sort of floating about him. He wasn't so outright enthusiastic.
That cocksure attitude.
He didn't have the enthusiasm that this Solo clearly has. I think it's because of how the character was written. This is a younger Solo. When you're younger, you're generally more enthusiastic about life, and the older Solo is more seasoned. What's that?
We like him because he's a scoundrel.
Yeah, and definitely a scoundrel, but he's like a young scoundrel with some good tendencies that they have in here, and it's I just liked this version of Solo a little bit more than Harrison Ford's Solo.
I enjoyed it too. I will say, it's not a perfect movie, which I can see some of the complaints folks have, but I think the movie was also subject to a lot of undue, intense scrutiny.
I mean,
because folks are like, it's following the legacy of Star Wars. It better be good. It's like, how many think realistically in your head, how many Star Wars movies in total there are versus how many good Star Wars movies there are.
Right.
You have to count all the prequels.
I mean, I would be okay with not seeing Star Wars for a few years just as punishment for the people that are negative about just to like punishment. Okay, you're going to be that negative about everything. For people like they're going to be so negative about every Star Wars movie comes out, you don't get any anymore. You know what I mean? Here, just think about that. Adam's sit in the corner. That's basically what it is.
Hold on. Adam's method of filmmaking. No more Star Wars. no more Star Wars.
Seriously, that's what we need, man. Just cut it out.
Bad Disney.
Push these guys back in lockers. You know what I mean?
Oh, but you know what?
Geeks.
Really?
I know what the
name
show
of
is.
The show you're on.
Yeah, but not in that negative way where we're like, this is the worst thing ever.
You just said push them in lockers, those nerds.
Yes.
Get 'em.
Yes. I stand by that statement. 100%.
Wow. All right. Well, I will say I like this. It's gotten some negative press, and I do think there are like faults here and there. They do some cool stuff to rectify that, but some things I have to call out are Han Solo. We like charismatic Han Solo. It's interesting to see him ramping up to the badass that he eventually becomes. But, I don't know if this actor's presentation really represented that. And I can't really blame him because I feel like he was giving it his all with the script that they gave him. I just don't think they wrote Han Solo as the arc that we're expecting him to have.
Okay.
This guy starts off kind of bumbling. He's got good intention. He's got like a clever plan. He just lacks the skills.
So what's the storyline with this? Where do they find him, and what do they got to do?
Well, this starts off with him as a young orphan. Mm-hmm. Him and his friend Kira. Who are as a friend, they're kind of friends, kind of more than friends. It's never entirely clear on that.
They're very much more than friends. They are bumping uglies left and right.
When they start off, you get the feeling that it's like a budding relationship. But I got like they were like probably childhood friends that just discovered these feelings for each other. You know what I'm saying?
What I got was they were teenagers just out of high school. I'm in quotes, just got out of high school, and they're like
Around that
madly in love with one another, but it's that young teenage love.
So exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it starts off with them, and they're together. They're in this colony. They're both kind of stuck under the thumb of the local mob boss, and Ford, damn it, Solo enacts a plan to get them out and make their grand escape. And what happens is, well, it's not a spoiler. It's like one of the major premises of the story.
Yeah.
He gets away and she doesn't, and that's where his adventure starts. And creates a vehicle for them to reintroduce her later on,
Right.
which is a big pull of the story because it's like that relationship should be one of the main things that shapes them, but it's almost forgotten until we see the character again.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is his motivation is I got to get back to her. Cool. So now I go to talk to this person. I want to get on this. I want to get on this. I want to start this mission. I want to start being this guy. Okay. Why? Well, I'm a hunter. I'm a bandit. I'm a cool guy. It's like, that's it? Yeah, that's it. I'm just this. Like, it obfuscates after a while.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I get what they were trying to do and just write a cool story and the rest will fall into place. But it's like they forgot that last step and the deadline was coming up. So, hey, let's get the script out. And he does cool stuff. Yeah. And I liked Woody Harrelson in this. Did you dig Woody Harrelson?
How can you not dig Woody Harrelson? Without seeing it, I know you're going to like it. Come on, man.
I liked Woody Harrelson, but I've heard legitimate complaints that I can see people's points of view. Johnny?
So Woody Harrelson's character, he is sort of a plot device in order. He is the reason why Han Solo becomes Han Solo. He learns everything that Han Solo does in the future movies and in the episode 4, 5, and 6 and etc. Is learned from and introduced in this movie. This movie's all about showing where Han Solo learned how to be who he is, and he learned it very clearly from this Tobias Becker.
Yes.
Tobias Becker character, and this Tobias Becker is basically Han Solo at the stage of episode 7. He is exactly that, like very disgruntled, very just like so worn by just the wear and tear of this lifestyle. That is what Tobias is in this movie. Was the Han Solo of episode 7? Yeah.
From damn, why do we keep wanting to call it Last Jedi? It's Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like we can see the progression if all that was played to a T. But the thing is, this is supposed to be like Han Solo's Qui-Gon Jinn. This is the one he learned everything from, and he was eventually going to evolve beyond. And they really pushed that at the beginning. So it's like they're almost telegraphing it. And then Harrelson's performance doesn't really like meet that that promise, in my opinion. I thought he was kind of like, maybe he was trying, but he played this a lot like he played this a lot like his character in The Hunger Games. He's just a dude. He's been doing this for a long time. He's just defeated. He's got his team. They have their inside jokes and they're friends, but they're like pissed off about like having to do jobs and stuff. They don't want to be there. And you see it on Harrelson. You see it on Beckett, and that's one of the things that carried in the story. But dude, your boy Paul Bettany's in this.
My boy.
Your boy Paul Bettany, yeah.
My boy, yeah.
Hey, man.
Have I been plugging Paul Bettany?
Always, yeah.
Are you sure?
This dude was like, man.
He's like, know me and Paul Bettany, right?
Like,
I love Wimbledon
movie. It was
movie.
all about the vision. That's what it was.
I love that movie, Wimbledon, yeah. Loved it.
That's who that is.
A Knight's
really?
Tale? Okay. Get out of here.
No, it wouldn't be a Star Wars story without a really pasty English guy.
It really
Paul
would.
Bettany he steps into those shoes.
Man, yeah, he's killing it this summer too. He's got this movie. He's got the Avengers.
Yeah, he's in places.
He's not Josh Brolin, but he's up there. Talking about this summer, you know what I mean?
And his role is essentially the main villain of this.
He's the big bad.
Yeah, but they kind of change up the villains a few times in this.
Yeah, they do some interesting stuff there. I gotta applaud that too. Yeah. I liked that they kept it fresh. You expect to see it's Star Wars, so they're gonna be like Jabba the main villain. Or Darth, the main villain, and this is going to be a point A to point B story and some interesting banter. And they kept it moving. The villains aren't necessarily entirely villains. The heroes aren't necessarily entirely heroes. Yep. They explain things, that have been questioned for a long time and have been subject to fan theory after fan theory.
You think
like
people
what the
have-
hell the Kessel Run is properly?
Yeah.
And
They explain that?
Yes, and why parsecs makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, they show it.
Do you think
Yeah.
they have a hard time with people have a hard time with prequels because they already know what the hell's going to happen?
Definitely. Definitely, especially
So
if
do
it's
you
a really
think the
popular
sequel?
story.
Do you think the prequel route, like they're gonna do, like I said, Boba Fett? They might do, Lando. They might do this. Do you think that's the way to go if they already know?
This
what's gonna
movie
happen?
is such a standalone from everything else. You don't need to watch anything else in order to understand what's going on in this movie. As long as you can, have your imagination.
Sure, but why did more people go and see it? If why does the more casual fan go out and see it if they didn't need to get all the backstory? Because that could be intimidating for some people with all this. Like, I gotta see 5,000 other movies to get this one. Why?
Oh yeah, no. If this is your first exposure to any Star Wars property, period, you are going to be lost.
Correct. Right.
Very from step one.
I don't
step
think so.
one to step done. Okay, explain.
You might have
to
an
me
easier
then.
time. It might still be tough.
There's a cameo in the movie that people have been talking about. I won't spoil it here,
Yeah,
but I will say, you know what the cameo I'm talking about. Towards the end.
Oh yes.
Okay, someone who's unfamiliar with Star Wars at all, if this was just a movie they went to see, would they understand anything that happened?
All right.
At all?
Even
yes or no? Would they?
No, they wouldn't.
Thank you.
However,
It's
even if you did watch the movies, which I definitely did multiple times, like I didn't understand. I had to ask my friend that I watched it with what that was all about, and they filled me in that it is something that you learn from not the movies, but from, I believe it was Clone Wars. So there's something that's relatively important. Rebels. It was either Rebels or Clone Wars.
So you mean you have to be a fan that goes even beyond the films?
Yes.
To know exactly, yeah.
But
So
it doesn't leave you. It's not as important to the overall movie
if I had
itself.
never seen any of this, like it relies so heavily on your understanding of who these people will become to understand why we even care about them.
Yeah.
Chewbacca's just this hostile, hairy guy.
Yeah.
Who with a speech impediment.
The Beast.
If I didn't know him as like the eventual lovable,
always well groomed.
Chewie. Yeah. They build some of the legends of these cats here.
Yeah.
Some of the stories we heard in the previous Star Wars movies, this is where you see them happen. And I like that part too. They didn't harp on them. It wasn't like, oh, this is the story of Han's jacket. Han got the vest. Back in the days, it was a sacred item from no, it's just like, how do you get his blaster? Why'd you get that blaster? It's a thing. You got the blaster here. Oh, I guess that's it. Okay, and it's
He bought it.
Yeah,
It's like,
Chewie's the belt Chewie wears. You see how he got that? Like, wow, okay. How he got the Falcon. How he met Lando. Lando's performance in this was hilarious.
Oh yeah,
My man Donald Glover put it down.
real good.
And
he's
I've heard a lot of
crushing it,
complaints. What's up?
He's crushing it too.
Yeah, no, Donald Glover. I'm happy.
I wish
for
I could
that.
do anything as good as he does 20 things. Any one thing as good as he does, like everything. You know what I mean? As a rapper, stand-up, TV, writer, all that stuff.
All things
He's
I
so
failed
good.
at, he succeeded at. So I shouldn't
Correct.
be bitter, but I'm just happy to see a young black man make it.
Shut up.
I'll say young black man make it. He's like 34.
Yeah, he's
All
all right.
right, so yeah, the young pup.
Yeah, he was young when we were young. All right. like the same age.
Yeah, but no, that guy, he's doing good stuff, man, and I liked him in this picture. He's mostly doing a Billy D. Williams impression, but it works.
He looks good in that mustache too. I'll give him that.
The look works for him. You know what? Especially after seeing him in the This Is America video with that ridiculous. Well, okay, I won't say ridiculous, but just like that extreme old school like bushy beard going on, and this is just him like.
What the?
Yeah.
Double time?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
and
good, man.
Lando got the chops. He got the mustache. He looks smooth.
Yeah,
It looks smooth. I expect him to
But
play.
I need some activator on there.
Yeah, my man gonna pull out a Colt 45 any minute and enjoy
Stop.
it. All right. But
We still call him Billy D's when we have him.
Oh, that poor guy. Yo, bottom line, I really enjoyed Solo, a Star Wars story. I expected to go in and I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. We've talked about that many times on
Yeah,
the
you're
show.
more of a Trekkie. We get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
and this was just a really enjoyable experience. I went to see it with one like really hardcore Star Wars fan and a couple of just kind of like. Actually, no, it was a good balance because I was like I'm a fan of sci-fi in general, not specifically Star Wars. I really liked it. The Star Wars fan was like, I got everything and I liked it. It wasn't everything I wanted as a fan, but I really enjoyed the picture regardless.
Yeah.
So that was cool. My friend who didn't really know anything and just wanted to come out to hang was like, I liked this movie. It was a good movie. I didn't understand some stuff, but it was a fun time.
Yeah.
And my buddy who's a casual Star Wars fan was like, yeah, this was actually the movie I wanted. So I'm like, I see on all 4 points. I was lucky to have that range too, but on all 4 points, it worked for these cats. So I got to give it a thumbs up.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, definite thumbs up for me. It's it doesn't tie into the big giant epic story that is Star Wars, other than given one of the many or I'd say 3 or 4 of the many characters.
Yeah.
Giving them a more in-depth backstory. So it's definitely good if you're a hardcore fan. You're gonna identify a whole slew of stuff. So it's great for them. And I think just as a standalone story, it's not fantastic, but it is certainly entertaining because it's like a misadventure of Han Solo, like the misadventures of him.
This is the Han Chronicles.
It's like the young Han Solo. It's
the young Indiana Jones, the young Han Solo.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
It'd be better if it was like a TV show then. We get more of these episodes.
But it wouldn't have as
on
big
Netflix,
of a,
so we could all fall asleep while they're on.
Oh, stop it. All right, well, okay, so I give it a thumbs up, Johnny.
Yeah, thumbs up.
All right, 2 thumbs up. The movie's called Solo: A Star Wars Story. It's out in theaters now. Recommend checking it out. It's a well, not highest. It gets a good recommendation.
It's Woody Harrelson, man. Come on.
It's Woody Harrelson. That's the one that got you.
Well, among others. Yeah.
All right. Well, right now I'm gonna kick it over to just